I'm Evan.
And I'm Jihad.
You're listening to the Intern Show on 92.5 The Bear. We got some interesting news. We got two stories for you in the college football world, even though football is not in session anymore. Go ahead and tell them what happened, Jihad.
Well, this recruit, he's a high school player. He was recruited. I don't know which school, but he signed a letter of intent to a university.
Arkansas,
I believe. Yes, he signed it. He's 18, so he don't need a parent signature. But they say you need a parent signature. So his mom went to his school, stole the stuff out of the principal's principal's locker, and stole the documents and took it home and went and signed it, because she doesn't want him to leave. But then everybody's like, no wonder he doesn't want to live. No wonder he doesn't want to go close. He doesn't want to go to a close university.
He wants to get
close
away
to
from
her
mom.
Because his mom is crazy. Stealing.
Pretty overattached.
That's just dumb. And I just thought that was it's ridiculous. But they should just the university should just send him another letter of intent and let him sign it by himself.
Yeah, maybe he should go by himself to Arkansas and just fill him out in person.
Yeah.
Anyways, the commitment to Auburn. This story, the second story, is really funny. So this guy originally wanted to go to Alabama, which is the top football school in the nation. But eventually he committed to Auburn. He decided he wanted to go to Auburn. He got an Auburn tattoo and everything. And last minute decided to go back to Alabama and become a Crimson Tide. So he is going to Alabama, and he has an Auburn tattoo on his shoulder, which is just probably the dumbest thing you could do.
Dude, yeah.
Tattoos are meant to be permanent, and so you should really know. He should have been sure that that's where he was going to go.
He's not going to get rid of that thing unless he makes it to the NFL. So he has to make it to the NFL to get money to get rid of that.
Yeah, so he can afford laser
I don't think he's going to
removal.
because that stuff costs a lot of money.
On top of that, it hurts really badly. I heard it's worse
and
than
it
getting
gives
the
you
initial
boils
tattoo
or something like that.
Yeah,
I've seen
it
that.
burns off your skin.
Yeah,
and that's pretty insane. It's expensive, and it hurts more than getting the tattoo itself.
Yep.
So that's kind of a bummer, but that's his fault. That was a poor decision. And anyways,
and that's the thing with these recruits. They flip flop, they just flip flop.
Yeah, some people.
I
want
to go to this school and I want to go to that school.
You can get accepted to school, and they still can. If you don't perform well in your last semester, they can kick you out. So it's really dumb to get a tattoo until you're actually a student there. So yeah, poor decision by him. But anyways, we make good decisions here, huh, Jihad?
Yep.
Well, I'm Evan.
And I'm Jihad.
You're listening to the Intern Show 92.5 The Bear. Stay tuned. I'm Evan.
And I'm Jihad.
You're listening to the Intern Show on 92.5 The Bear. And as promised earlier, we said we were going to talk about our quarterbacks, our top 5 quarterbacks, elite quarterbacks in the NFL. And I'm going to go ahead and have you start with your number 5.
My number 5 is Drew Brees in the New Orleans Saints. He led the team to a Super Bowl after the Hurricane Katrina thing. He's been on point,
ever since
5,000 yards.
I call him Mr. Consistency. He only had one bad game this year against the Falcons where he threw 5 interceptions, which was crazy. 3 of them weren't even his fault. But, all right, my number 5 is elite Eli Manning of the New York Giants. He had a terrible season last year.
Yeah.
But you can't really blame him. He already won 2 Super Bowls, and he has more Super Bowls than his older brother, who's considered the best of all time. So that's kind of a joke in my opinion. I think that Eli Manning is more deserving than his brother, but I do have Peyton Manning higher on my list. But yeah, that's my number 5, Eli.
My number 4 is Eli Manning. As you had him as number 5, I had him at number 4 because he won 2 Super Bowls. That's probably the only reason why. Probably the only reason why.
I agree. If he hadn't won 2 Super Bowls, he would not even be close.
His stats are not that great, really.
No, they're not, but he's Mr. Clutch in the fourth quarter, the final drive. He's always there.
But I know there's a stat, I heard it. He's the youngest quarterback to reach 200 passing touchdowns. He's the last quarterback. He's the youngest quarterback to throw for 200 touchdowns. I think he's the youngest quarterback. I think I remember that stat.
Oh, maybe, yeah. I'm not sure. My number 4 quarterback is my boy, Ben Roethlisberger, Big Ben. He is one of the best quarterbacks, in my opinion, because he always has an 8-to-1 touchdown-to-interception ratio. Jihad's looking at me like I'm crazy, but
because you always go with that ratio stuff, and I don't think that's.
Well, Ben Roethlisberger is one of the best quarterbacks. You can't. He's always consistent. I know he gets sacked a lot. He plays good for having a terrible offensive line.
And he gets injured.
I'm a Steelers fan. He gets injured. I don't care. He has 2 Super Bowl rings.
I'm a Miami Dolphins fan.
He's took his team.
But I'm not saying Brandon Tannehill's in the top 5, you know? Come on.
He took his team to the playoffs almost every year.
Except for this year.
He won the Super Bowl in his sophomore season, and he has 2 rings, and he actually made the Super Bowl in 2010 against the Packers and lost. So he's taken his team to the Super Bowl 3 times in 7 or 8 years. So that's pretty good.
Yeah, whatever. He's not that great. Yeah, but my number 3 is Aaron Rodgers. I don't really know if I don't have to explain anything, really. It's Aaron Rodgers, okay? He led the team to run the Vince Lombardi Trophy back to Green Bay. He can run. He can run, too. He's a running quarterback, and he can throw, too. He throws accurate, so he's my number 3.
Yeah, Aaron Rodgers does put up the stats. He's a good quarterback. I actually would put him at my number 5 if he had more than 1 Super Bowl. But as you know, if you don't have 2 Super Bowls, you're not making it on my list unless you are Drew Brees. But that's later on. My number 3 is Peyton Manning. He won a Super Bowl with the Colts. He's a really good player, and he's with the Broncos. He puts up consistent stats ever since his days at Tennessee as a volunteer. I think he's a great quarterback. He's had a great season or career. Yeah, that's why he's my number 3. He's just Mr. Consistency.
And my number 2 is Peyton Manning. As you just said, basically, he was good with the Colts. He's good with the Broncos. He's probably going to be good with the Broncos for another, I think, 4 years. That's how long that's his last bit of contract. But, he's won a Super Bowl. He doesn't really have to win anything more, really. He'll still be considered one of the...
His little brother, though, has 2, and he has 1, so that's pretty funny.
It doesn't matter. Eli Manning is a great playoff quarterback. Peyton Manning is not a great playoff quarterback.
In my book, if you can't win more than once...
Whatever.
If you can't win more Super Bowls...
He's going to be a top 5 quarterback of all time. Doesn't really matter how many Super Bowls he wins.
But his brother's been in the league way less, and he has more rings than his older brother. That's kind of funny.
And he has more playoff victories, too. Peyton Manning only has 9 playoff victories.
Yeah, he chokes in the playoffs every year. I don't know. He's overrated in my book, but he's still my number 3. Anyways.
With that overrated stuff.
My number 2 is Drew Brees. He won a Super Bowl for the Saints back in 2007. He always puts up the best numbers. He beat Dan Marino's record for most yards in the season. He gets the most yards out of every quarterback almost every year, and he works with what he has. He's always getting new receivers and locker room changes, new coaches. He has a lot of things that he struggles with. He's very short, too. He's only 5'11".
Yeah, he's not that tall.
So, he has a lot of adversity, and he's still, in my mind, he's the smartest quarterback, makes good decisions. He has a good arm. I liked him when he was in San Diego with the Chargers. But, yeah, he's my favorite quarterback personally. But he's my number 2. We both have the same number 1.
Yeah, basically number 1, easily. Tom Brady. 3 Super Bowls, Doesn't really matter. Same with Peyton Manning.
Yeah, he makes it all the time.
If he doesn't win another Super Bowl, still top 5 greatest quarterbacks of all time, I think, in my mind. He's just, I hate the guy. I don't hate him, but I don't like him because
you're a Dolphins fan.
He's in my division, but,
Yeah, I'm not a fan of him either. He's all right. I just think he's one of the best quarterbacks because of the numbers he puts up, and he always gets the most touchdowns out of any quarterback. And, over his career, he hasn't had that many great receivers play for him. I know Wes Welker, and, he has Brandon Lloyd and all these other guys this year.
He didn't have anyone.
Deion Branch.
The only other guy that I can think of before, all these other guys. So
Brady is definitely the best quarterback, maybe one of the best of all time, definitely in the top 5 all time. And, so those are our top 5 elite quarterbacks in the NFL. I'm Evan.
And I'm Jihad.
You're listening to 92.5 The Bear, the Intern Show.